Let's get right into this review for The Housemaid. Alright, so The Housemaid is directed by Paul Feig. This is a thriller drama starring Amanda Seyfried, Sydney Sweeney, and Brandon Sklenar as the main leads. I have to start off by saying that from the previews alone, I thought this film had a lot of potential to take the story in all of the right directions. Everything about the trailer seemed to point towards a promising cinematic package for a story covering the thriller genre. So this was another film that I knew I wanted to check out at the theaters myself to see if it'll live up to my set expectations. And now that I've seen this film, what did I think about the cinematic package here? This surprisingly ended up being a much better cinematic package than what the initial acts of this film led me to believe. I'm going to start this review by noting in advance that this is definitely a film worth checking out at the theaters if what you saw in the trailers intrigued you. Now don't jump to the conclusions just yet with what I'm about to say next. I found the first half of this film to be exhaustive, and I genuinely felt so bummed out with every step the story direction was taking. As a matter of fact, there were so many people in my theater scoffing or laughing at how dumb the story segments were playing out during the first half of the film. The narrative chooses many frustratingly cringeworthy outcomes, and I myself couldn't fathom how disappointed I was feeling with the story direction just from the first half. But here's the kicker. This was one of those rare occasions where the second half to this story absolutely made up for the negativity that came before. Trust me, this entire story is going to click and come back full circle. I honestly wasn't expecting this 180-degree turn in quality, and I ended up thoroughly surprised with my overall cinematic experience by the end. As a matter of fact, my crowded theater went from scoffing consistently at the initial story segments to becoming almost dead silent once the film hits the climactic moment. The screenplay here really does jolt in the right directions as the story progresses, and I was surprised with how the film redeemed itself by the time credits rolled. Now as for another positive, kudos to the entire cast involved. It's safe to say that after watching this film in its entirety, everyone completely owned their roles and the characters they were playing. This screenplay, amongst all of the other romantic thrillers out there, honestly ends up being one of the better cinematic packages. Also, the ending here was just a cherry on top. It's a tad bit silly, but I had a smile on my face by the end, and people were clapping by the time credits rolled. Honestly, I don't have any real negatives to point out now for this film. It's one that diverts your attention and expectations effectively, and the majority of the plot points somehow meshes well by the end. The story can feel a bit B-tier at times, but everything remained cohesive enough, and all the plot elements involved helped to service the story completely in this 2-hour and 11-minute runtime. I had no problems with the length of this film. My final score for The Housemaid is 8.5 out of 10. This is one you definitely should check out at the theaters if you are interested. I don't think I've ever seen a screenplay that bums you out initially, only for it to do a complete 180 and surprise you in such an effective manner. Anyways, thanks for checking this review out. Like and subscribe if you want to see more next week, and I shall see you on my next upload. Until then, stay safe out there, and peace.